Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today, and much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is, why does the manipulator, the malignant narcissist, whatever it is that you want to call them, why do they continue to manipulate or control, even though I have been reacting to them, telling them to stop? And basically, can you please unravel the understanding of the manipulation? The why does this occur? Even though I have expressed uncomfortability, it's not pleasant, why does this persist? So we're going to kind of unravel, really sort of understanding how people are manipulated by people who are narcissistic, psychopathic, con men, con women, whatever it is that you want to call them. Someone who oftentimes does not have your best interest at heart, but has their own agenda. And before we get started, though, I just want to give a super huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated to the channel. You know who you are. Thank you so much. We have the UK in the house. So super cool to hear from you. I am so glad that you have found the channel and found a resource and a forum to be able to look at, address, and understand some of these relationship dynamics and the way that people are, particularly, these pillar people, these people who are kind of, gotten you into a stalemate in your life, or people who, you were truly in love with or want to love, but there's really an issue there. There's like an attachment issue. There is something there, like underneath in my shoe. There's a rock in my shoe. It's getting my attention. I want to get it out, and so I am so glad. So thank you so much for your donation, and absolutely positively, if you have found this channel to be a resource and a positive influence, please do feel free to participate and donate at the PayPal Donate Now button, as well as comment, like, share, and ask your questions here on the Peace and Harmony channel. So thank you so much. So we're going to zoom in and focus in on really kind of understanding manipulation. Why does this occur? Why would somebody want to exert all this sort of force onto others? What do they get out of it? What do the end receivers of manipulation, what do they go through? And how does it affect you? How does it kind of get in and seep into the roots of your self-esteem, your perception of yourself, your abilities, what you get excited for, what you get depressed for? And, really, it's to understand that if we go back and hearken back to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, one of the important things that he talks about in terms of, if you want to, he studied like 200 extremely successful individuals, the Andrew Carnegie's, the Ford Motor Company, all these, the Roosevelts, the presidents, the big business owners of the era. And he got to know sort of the ingredients in formula of success. And, number one, he explained having a definiteness of purpose, but also to surround yourself with a mastermind. In other words, surround yourselves with people who are inspirational to you, who are energizing, who you look up to, who you might consider a mentor, people who you want to be like, and people who have basically, tread the path that you want to succeed on. So surround yourself with what he calls a mastermind. And there's been lots of studies done that have shown that people's income, are reflective of those people who they surround themselves with, as well as their self-esteem and what they get excited for, what they're enthusiastic for, what they actually end up pursuing in life, as well as their decisions. So when we talk about manipulators, it's to understand that people who are narcissistic or looking for a way to find significance or power, otherwise known as importance. This is one of the basic human needs. Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, and one of them he talks about is the need for importance or significance. And so how do people get this? They can get this by working hard, by creating beautiful art. They can get this by becoming a specialist. They can get this by having a family, by being a great lover, by being a great writer, by being a great craftsman. They refine their skill. They refine their niche, their talent, their strength. They know what this is. Plato, know thyself. So if we look kind of at this and understand that it is so important to understand manipulation and why people who are manipulators, why they do this rather than sort of getting a credence or a sort of shining their light, and so that others may shine their light. So a narcissist, a manipulator, a psychopath, it's all about, playing people, not plain people, but playing people. So meaning that they seek to overwhelm, override, and control in order to gain significance, in order to gain power, to satisfy this human need to feel important, that they are important. And then, there's been all sorts of studies that have shown that, someone who, goes into a city and has a weapon, or wherever it is, the person with the weapon automatically, they're what's important, they're what's going on. And I know that this is like a sensitive topic, will probably get flagged by YouTube, but I'm just showing you what people do. So if they don't have the means, if they're not embracing the strengths and the strengths of others, they're creating a judgment or a power vacuum where others, all of a sudden, they're then leading the helm. They are able to get others reactive. It's like they took one bite of the apple and they've just gone on and entered into that agenda, that dark side, and so these people get a thrill, a dopamine hit, a reward. We were talking the other day about stimulus and response and reward. So these people get a sense of satisfaction, juiced up, geared up, ramped up, excited, passionate, emblazoned, whatever it is. These people get something out of manipulating and controlling others. In other words, sort of pushing their buttons. And it's like, why would you want to do this? That is a great question. And why have I found myself in the midst of this net? In other words, I feel like I'm in this trap. And the issue is that once you're sort of in that situation where, quote unquote, you've been played, you've been lied to, you've been deceived, you've kind of, had a bite of the apple that this person has bitten on, you then become a counterforce to their force. And the thing is, it tends to carry over into other areas of your life. So the relationship all of a sudden has this sort of blanket effect where it takes over somebody's essence, all their attention. They're either trying to figure out how to get on the good side, they're trying to figure out how to stay in the relationship, they're trying to figure out how to cope, they're trying to figure out how to feel and deal with their low self-esteem. As a result of this, low self-esteem is a result. And then it becomes a cause to a whole bunch of other issues in life. And also, it also keeps you from living your truth and your definiteness of purpose. Napoleon Hill, really, even if you're not in business, I would highly recommend reading that book. It's really, really significant. It's really on there, on the top important list in my viewpoint, as well as for any people who are in business, So To Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. And you might not find it very interesting, but you might find some good little, points to take away. But a manipulator, they are able to get people into this, flight or flight mode where people kind of stop in their tracks. The people, especially who are unsuspecting, where all of a sudden, they do something to sort of surprise them, or they come with a quip or an insult. And the person usually is in a public space or maybe at their work or at a family gathering, and it's not appropriate to call them out. or you could be on a date and you could have just had a meal and all of a sudden they go into this and then it becomes very uncomfortable to deal with. So a lot of people end up being like, I would call it, a deer in a headlight. They don't know how to handle this interaction. And so people, if they don't know how to deal with this, they end up continuing it. In other words, they're just sort of spinning their wheels in it until it gets so uncomfortable, until the pain gets great enough, and they go, wow, like I need a guiding light, like I need to figure this out. But oftentimes a big space of time can occur between, and when you've, first taken that derogatory comment and not been able to sort of get your bearings or have the tools and resources to declare your boundaries and say, really, that's not right. They're so afraid of confrontation. So and that's really a key is the confrontation, which is showing self-esteem and, really alignment, with your essence, your value, your truth, your voice, and what this person is showing you. So they're like a mirror that's reflecting this dirty, smudgy, polluted, broken chips. It's got, maybe a lot of it is dingy and dark, and they're reflecting back to you not your essence, not your truth, not the truth of life, not your definiteness of purpose, your strength. They're not there with you. So a lot of people then become codependent with the manipulator because they don't know better. They get kind of molded. If you've ever seen somebody work clay, they've got this big thing and then they're making this, and it's like the hands of manipulation go in shape. And so people are then shaped by these people from outside rather than shaping themselves from within. And we're getting really back to this internal locus of control and being able to live in that heart space and making that space really spacious for you, making it really big, making it really grand, allowing it to stretch 9 feet to 10 feet, out from you, underneath you, and above you, where that is, the no manipulation zone, the no, I'm not being deceived zone, the I have definiteness of purpose, and that if something tries to come in here, in this essence, that I'm able to identify it right away and shut it down right away. And so oftentimes, if you are not in alignment for a long time, including like the present moment, then it's very difficult to be at peace and in a peaceful body that can perceive what's going on and to say, no, that's not appropriate. No, you're talking to me. Really? You don't have the comebacks. A lot of people are so afraid of confrontation, or they're into a reactive and then getting downright ugly, living with a lot of resentment, doing things on the fly that really are like out of line, and you're, not doing things that are in your best interest, and you're feeling like your life is way out track, and you're not in your definiteness of purpose, you're not in your truth, you're not in your happiness, you're not in alignment with your true values, which is to be loved and to fall in love. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Sometimes, we have a lot of viewers here who have this at their workplace. You might, but this statement, to fall in love, means, the truth. And we're kind of like getting into spring here. So it's kind of like, people truly, when you talk about their dream and their essence and what they truly want, that is to be loved and to be able to give love in return, unadulterated, unperverted. I mean, you might have your whatever, but when I say perverted, meaning unadulterated, meaning pure, meaning real, meaning authentic, they want to fall in love. They want to be loved. They want to be cuddled, held, have, share a common feeling, i.e. something positive, rather than being manipulated. Manipulation and, yeah, you can, have little titillations, and it's like, teasing with each other, but it's all in good fun. At the end of the day, people don't get hurt because it's not manipulative. It's in good spirited flirting, dressing well, taking care of yourself, eating good food, making another a good meal, having a nice home. These are representations when you're in alignment. This is the good life. You're happy with what's around. What's around you is reflective of a peace and a harmony. In other words, it's not about manipulation. It's not about trying to control events. It's allowing things to go naturally and organically, and to have your eye be able to look where it wants, to have your heart to blaze your path rather than being caught up in that fight or flight or fawn mode. Pete Walker, complex PTSD, from surviving to thriving. He talks about the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And the fawn is kind of like when it catches people off guard and they don't know how to handle a manipulation. Manipulation, once again, is to gain significance, power, or control over others, oftentimes in ways that aren't readily perceived by others, i.e., there's a mask, there's a decoy, there's fooling, there's deception, there's lying, there's hiding, there's secretiveness. They're not fully present 100%. They've got a persona that you're seeing, a public self, from this individual, but usually they're trying to get something. And, this is what breaks people down. This is what tires people out. This is what brings the fatigue. This is what brings the struggle. There's no allowing. There's always sort of this trying to understand the calculation of this person. And like Eckhart Tolle says, the ego can never be in alignment with the present moment, which is to say aligned with life, since its very nature compels it to ignore, resist, and devalue. Ignore, resist, and devalue the now. So when you are in the relationship with a manipulator, you're being put into an ego relationship, meaning there's this deflection or resistance of just relaxing, just being in the now, just being. It sounds so simple, but people are very complex when it comes to wanting to feel important. The big ego. They will do whatever it takes. Sam Vatkin, the malignant narcissist, has an insatiable need to control. They have an unsatiable need. It gets worse with time. And so, especially if you've been in a relationship with these types who are always trying to create a calculated effect. So they're trying to live sort of in your shoes, but control what's in your shoes versus empathy. Meaning they're trying to get and create a reaction which is not normal. You're not permitted to have your own reaction, your own viewpoint, your own interests. You're meant to feel embarrassed. You're meant to feel shamed. Oh, that's stupid. Oh, you can never do that. And then it goes to be all about them. So it becomes readily apparent when you pull back and you say, okay, enough is enough. I'm cutting the strings. This person does not have any effect on me other than what I perceive and I hear with my own heart. In other words, perceiving things and being able to have a say, what comes through your filter, your perspective, and then how you react. In other words, you don't have to laugh if it's not funny. You don't have to say yes if you really feel no. You don't have to stay up that late if you want to go to bed. You don't have to dress the way that they want you to just to impress. There comes a point where you really have to be in alignment and really be close with your essence. And a manipulator keeps you away from that essence. They won't allow it to breathe, like opening up a bottle of wine and letting it breathe. I'm trying to give you an example of what the essence is like. So a manipulator is trying to mold one from without rather than allowing you to design and develop from within and be supportive. And of course, there's all variances, of this. However, someone who is truly in an interactive and loving relationship, they won't resort to this manipulation to feel important, to feel significant. They won't use these tactics to, throw you off, to violate your boundaries, to do things that you are, needing personal space. The violation of personal space, i.e. your opinion, your internal real estate, what you have and what you need. So don't feel bad if you don't fall prey to a manipulator. Just say no and just call them out, and then just do not participate, do not engage. This is your